guys, how you going? In today's video we're going to be looking at some different type of calisthenic skills that you might not have tried before, and really this is designed to be a little bit of fun and a way for you to explore calisthenics and just moving your body in general. So this is personally how I started with calisthenics. I just found some cool movements and tried to replicate them, pretty much failed constantly, but eventually my body started to adapt, and there's plenty that I'm still working on, but honestly it's so much fun to just try them anyway. So hopefully you'll find something good in this video to give it a go. Whether you're a beginner or an intermediate, there'll be something in here for you. So we'll get straight on into it, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so the first move we're going to look at is an L-sit. So for this one, you're going to need to grab yourself 2 chairs or have something that you can put your hands in between. So this could be like a kitchen counter, coffee table on your sofa, something like that, but something on an equal level. Now to start with, the first progression we're going to look at is literally just raising yourself up. So you're going to place your hands by your hips on whatever surface you're pushing from, so on the chairs for example, and you're just going to push yourself up, so pulling your shoulders away from your ears and really engaging all the side body to push up nice and high. Hold yourself there for a few seconds and then lower in a nice controlled way back to the ground. So if you're ready to move on to the next progression, you're going to start by drawing your knees into your chest this time and just holding them there. So really pull them up as high as you can, point your toes towards the ground, hold them and then lower back down nice and slowly. If you're finding that bringing both knees up is a little bit too difficult still, you can work on just bringing one knee into your chest, but if this is still accessible, just focus on pushing the chairs away or whatever surface that you're pushing from. Alright, moving on, we're going to work on extending one of our legs out now. So we're starting to work into that full L-sit. So as you can see, my arms are nice and straight and I'm pushing down on those chairs. And from there, I'm going to bring my knees up into my chest and extend my leg out, pointing that toe. Don't forget, it's really important to train both sides, so make sure you're always doing the other side. And I would expect one side to always be slightly weaker or more difficult than the other. As you can see, my left side is my weaker side. This is quite a hard move, so the goal is to eventually be able to extend both of your legs out straight, and something that I'm still working on as well, so I'm with you guys. Alright, we are moving on into one of the more popular exercises that you will see around, which is the handstand. To start with, we're going to get our body used to being upside down, and to do this we're going to place our feet onto a raised surface. That could be a chair, a table, a sofa, or anything that's going to be around knee to hip height. From there you're going to walk your hands back, and the aim really is to have your hips, shoulders and wrists aligned and really push through, pushing that ground away. What I'm talking about here is really gripping the floor with your fingers, using them like your toes, and then wrapping your forearms around towards each other, your triceps back, and pushing the ground away. Really think about pushing as hard as you can and staying there. If you want some more information about handstands, I'll put a little video icon in the top, but I've got a handstand tutorial. Alright, we're moving on to the next progression, which is chest to wall handstands. So for this one, you're going to have your back to the wall and you're going to place your feet on the wall and work to a height that's accessible for you. Now that might just be a plank position, or you might be able to get your chest all the way to the wall. But what's important is once you're there, you maintain that pushing away from the floor, pulling your shoulders away from your ears and keeping your core nice and strong. Don't sink in like I just have here. You want to wrap your forearms around, triceps back and push up. Don't forget, of course, to point those toes and stay in that hollow body position. And you want to try and aim to stay here for around 30 seconds. When you want to come back down, you can either walk your hands out, or I usually just twist away from the wall, but it's completely up to you. Just come down in a nice, safe way. You can also try kicking up to a handstand against the wall. So the wall's obviously really handy because it takes out that element of falling. All the same cues apply when you're doing a handstand this way, and if you like to hold it for 30 seconds, that's perfect. Or sometimes it's good to just do some kick-ups. So kick up and then come straight back down again and kick up again, and really just practicing the movement of kicking up and landing in that handstand. Alright, moving on to the next progression, which is going to be a split hold. So once you're feeling confident to move away from the wall, we're going to look at trying some split holds. Now, having your legs split like this means that you can find your balance a little bit better. So again, my handstand video would go into a bit more detail, but what you're going to do is land your hands on the floor about shoulder distance apart, kick up, point those toes, and split your legs so you can move back and forth, trying to get comfortable finding that center of gravity. Okay, we're going to move on to the next skill now, which is pistol squats, something that I'm sure you will be very familiar with, using one leg to squat down. Now you can do this with having your hands on your toes, or you can also do it without having the hand there as well. Both are pretty fun to work towards, but also quite difficult to master. What's important is that you're comfortable with bodyweight squats before you start. So you should be able to do, I don't know, between 10 and 20 reps pretty comfortably of squats before you're even looking at mastering the pistol squat. But again, just listen to your body and have a little bit of fun with it. So your regular bodyweight squats, feet are going to come hip distance apart, turn those toes and knees out slightly, and you want to make sure you have the mobility and the strength to come down to at least parallel to the floor and push back up without your knees caving in. So for our first progression, we're going to be using a chair. Now, if you've got a chair with handles, that's even better, especially as a beginner. But you're going to take one foot off the ground and you're going to basically sit down in the chair and try and stand up, making sure that you're keeping the weight in the heel that's on the floor and you're coming up as straight as possible, really thinking about keeping that core nice and strong and flexing that leg out. Now, if you do have arms on the chair that you're using, you can put your hands on it and use it during the concentric phase, so that standing up phase, to help assist take some of the body weight off, which for a beginner is going to be very useful in building up the strength in that leg. Just a super quick note while we've got a second on sets and reps. Honestly, guys, don't stress too much about how many of these you should be doing. Try to look at this as a little bit of fun and a little bit of movement. And really, if you're looking for progression, you want to be going to a point where it's hard to do any more reps. Alright, we're going to take it up a notch now. So we're going to actually stand on the chair instead this time. And all I want you to think about is standing up with one leg and then slowly lowering yourself down. So making that eccentric down phase as slow and controlled as possible. Make sure you're still sitting back in that heel that's planted, and all the same cues apply as normal. Chest stays up, core strong, and arms can come out in front of you to counterbalance you. Now, once you are able to do that, you can add in the concentric phase, so coming back up again if possible. And just another quick note, as I'm editing this, it makes it look like progress should be really quick. But honestly, guys, to get to this point, it probably took me the best part of 6 or 7 months. So please don't stress if you're still on the first progression, because that's also a lot of work. Alright, once you have done that and you can get the concentric phase on a raised surface, you can start working from the floor. But you can start working from the floor straight away. There's no right or wrong. Just play and have a bit of fun with it. Alright, we're almost verging into yoga here, but it's still bodyweight training and something that a lot of people want to try and feel like is a progression towards handstanding, which in a way, I suppose it is. It's a good way to get used to being upside down at least. So, headstands. There is plenty of different ways to learn headstands and lots of variations. We're going to be looking at the tripod headstand today. So you're going to be creating almost like a tripod with your head and your hands. Your hands are going to be about shoulder width apart in front of your head, and really they're going to be taking a lot of the weight from your body. So it doesn't put your head under quite as much strain. Now to start with, we're just going to work on coming into a tuck. So using a wall, hands come down to the floor in front of you. You're going to bring one knee in and then the other to your chest. Try to tap the wall with your toes. Feel comfortable in that position and stay for as long as you like. Once you're happy with that, you can work on extending your legs up. So everything is exactly the same. Core stays tight. Try and get those hips stacked up nice and high. Bring your knees in, and then you're going to extend your feet, point those toes, and you're going to use the wall as your support. So stay there. When you're finished, draw those knees back in and come down in a nice controlled way. One foot at a time or both feet together. It's up to you. Once you're comfortable with that, and honestly there's no rush, you're going to work on coming into a headstand without the wall there. Everything is exactly the same. So you're going to come into that tuck first, draw the knees into the chest, point your toes up, and then you can slowly extend your feet up towards the sky and just feel comfortable being upside down really. Here I'm just showing you a variation of coming down. It just requires a little bit of core strength and control. but just something that you can have fun with. I'm going to show you a different variation here. This is a straddle press. So I'm currently working on a press handstand. It was a bit dodgy that because the wall was in the way, but extending your legs out to the side and then drawing up. Again, core strength is required for that, but they look quite cool to look at. So a little bit of fun to play around with once you can do your headstands. And really it's just about exploring. You can start doing things like the zombie press, like you can see here. You've probably seen videos like this, but to be honest with you, they look a lot harder than sometimes they are. So a little bit of fun to play with. All right, we're moving on to our last exercise, which is going to be an elbow lever. So sorry about the really bad camera angles here, but basically elbow levers are just arm balances, and a lot of it is not strength dependent. It's more just balance and finding a center of gravity. So we're going to start with looking at a two-handed elbow lever, and I'll show you a few different ways that you can do it. We're going to first start with getting comfortable putting some weight through our wrists, especially during wrist extension. So to start with, we're going to just take a planche lean on our knees. So for this, you're going to set yourself up in a modified plank. So your hands are going to be directly beneath your shoulders and you're going to be on your knees nice and long in the body. From there, you're going to lean forward so your shoulders extend over your wrists as far as possible and really pull your scapulars or your shoulder blades apart from each other. So we're looking for scapular protraction. Once you're happy with that, we're going to come into a full planche lean, so coming up onto the tops of your toes, really pushing the ground away, hollowing out your body, so that hollow body shape. One thing to note here is that my fingers are facing out towards the side of the rooms and my thumbs facing forward. It just takes a little bit of strain off your wrist and allows you that movement forward. Once you feel like you can hold that for around 30 seconds, you can probably move on to the next one, but again, there's no right or wrong, so you can just play around with it. We're going to work into some tucked elbow levers. So for this one, you're going to plant your hands in the same position, your fingers facing out to the side of the room, thumbs facing forwards, and you're going to bend your elbows and really tuck them into your waist or your hip bones. So you can see where I'm going to place them here, and the best thing to do is just try it and see what's comfortable for you. But really dig them in. If you can feel your hip bones, that's probably a good thing. And then from there, you're just going to slowly lean forward and try to take one or both feet off the ground, keeping your legs bent. And just try to stay there as long as possible. If you face plant the ground, don't worry, it's bound to happen at some point. It's all good and part of the process. All right, once you're comfortable with a tuck, you can try a straddle, so taking your legs out to the side. In general, it's slightly easier to straddle your legs and have them out wide than to have them together. And again, this is because you're spreading your center of gravity and making that surface area bigger, which is always going to help, especially in a move like this, which is really less about strength, more about balance. All right, you can move on to having a go elbow levering on some random objects now. So I'm using this little stool, for example, and I personally actually find it a lot easier to balance on a raised surface than it is on the floor. So you might actually want to try this first, or if you struggle on the floor, try doing this, and then you can just start playing around with it, moving your hands in different directions, trying one-armed balances, bringing your legs up, splitting them, all sorts of different things, just playing around and trying different things, guys. It's all about having fun. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and you found some cool different movements to try and incorporate into your routine or some different skills to try. If you did try anything, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys, seeing your videos and your comments. So you can either head over to Instagram and talk to me over there, or you can drop me a comment down below and I will try and get back to you guys. But I love seeing your videos, so please tag me in anything that you do try. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next video.